My life story like Black Rob drinking OE. That brolic shit broken down like Matt Hardy. See through these eyes of people my mind see. It's fucked up, ain't it? No need to remind me, but let me get to it. The stupid shit.
What up, Corner Crew? We're back. Episode 3, Culture Corner Wrestling. Got myself, Shot Elemental. What up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
No, I'm doing pretty good, man. Pretty good. You know, grinding, working, getting shit done. You know how we do.
I hear that.
King Charisma will be with us in a minute. He's on his way. He's running a tad bit late, but it's all good. Let's do this. So
Word.
I want to jump right into it. This is going to be a heavy WWE episode. There's a lot going on. There he is. There's the man, King.
There I am. I apologize. Technical difficulties.
No worries. Welcome. We're just getting started. So,
Awesome.
yeah, we're talking about WWE all episode. Got a lot to talk about. The buyout, the merger, everything went through last week on Tuesday. Yeah, it was a big deal. It's a big deal. It shakes up all of professional wrestling. And there was a ton of releases. There's actually a big signing that we're going to talk about. So, yeah, let's just jump right into it. We're going to talk about Vince McMahon, and he's been acting a little bit crazy lately. So, Shaw, I know you have some things you want to say about this subject. So let's just start with you.
Yeah, man. I mean, where's the world at right now where you can be a straight up rapist? And let's be honest at this point. I mean, maybe he isn't. Okay, let's just throw it out there. But, and is there any other business, maybe in the world, where somebody can get accused of this type of thing, and especially in America, and still maintain that position, regardless of the fact that he had the controlling votes and things like that on the board and yada yada yada. I just, the thing that baffles me is, like, I look at all these people involved in this whole shenanigan as just pieces of trash, really, when it comes down to it. Like, I don't get it. Like, there are so many things that this group of people has done and continue to do. I mean, we could get into the contractor work, not giving your actual employees, because let's be honest, they're employees. If you can't do anything else without getting it cleared through them, you're a goddamn employee. I don't care what you say. You can designate it as what you want, but these people deserve health insurance. They deserve the backing of the company, and people don't deserve to be treated like they get treated by these companies. Now, as we were mentioning off camera just a minute ago, Brad, like how they had this meeting where, you know, the Endeavor dude, I can't think of his name right now, Ari Emanuel, I think is his name. You know, he comes out, he gives this big speech, and he's like, yeah, we're rallying the troops. Sorry we had to fire half of your friends, which that part of it I get, because when there's a merger, you can't have, I mean, if you have 50 people in an HR department on one company and 50 in the other, and you only need 50, you're not going to keep 100 people on. So I get that aspect of it, you know, in certain departments. But it strikes me as funny in a weird, macabre way, and just tone deaf that you're going to be like, yeah, we just signed this huge deal to bring SmackDown back to USA Network for $1.2 billion, whatever the ridiculous number was. And then literally a half an hour later, you're like, and we fired all these people that we didn't use properly. Not they didn't work hard. They didn't try their best with what we gave them, but we didn't know what to do with them, and we don't listen to our employees. Because let's be honest, we don't have to be there on a day-to-day basis to look back and see every single person who's left this company and complains about them burying them and things of that nature. Good example, Dolph Ziggler. Guy is money in the ring, right? But they buried this dude for the last 6 years. So what level can he come in? And even if he signs with an AEW, he can't go straight to the main event after the way they've downgraded his character and like his whole persona over the last 6 years. If he goes over there, he's gonna have to work his way up. And it's ridiculous, especially for a guy like that was there almost 20 years, did anything you ever asked of him, and they basically took advantage of the guy, from my perspective. Because like, I don't see how you could see it any other way, because the dude was money in the ring. Like, he was the new generation Shawn Michaels. When I saw that guy in the ring, I saw Shawn Michaels ring-wise. Maybe not personality wise and all that stuff, but I mean, it just baffles me how I try my best and I want to be like, I don't want to support this company, but then you have people who you do want to support in the company because it's not fair to not support them. So it's this weird like dichotomy where I'm just like, I hate this company, but I still have to kind of support them because it's got people I, want to see succeed. Like your Kevin Owens, your Sami Zayn's, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of people in the company that I enjoy watching. I just wish they were treated better, and somebody maybe in a government position would finally step in and say, no, all right, enough screwing these people. You need to give them at least bare minimum health insurance, some sort of retirement while they're working for you, just like any other company. Okay, if you quit, you go. Obviously, they're not going to keep putting money in your 401k. But I mean, for Christ's sakes, how long is this going to go on? It's ridiculous. Like, I know, some of them make good money, but really, like.
Well, yeah, they've been using the independent contractor thing for years to underpay and not provide a extra at all. They get nothing. They pay for everything: travel, lodging, food. Not at the state. The only time I'm sure they don't pay for food is when they go to catering. So. Yep. I'm sure they eat up at that point too. I would be taking advantage of that shit because that's like the only perk they actually get on the side besides making. Yeah, they do make great money, but still, just like any other, like the NFL, they have a union. Any other sport has a union. Wrestling doesn't.
The guys coming into the business though, they don't make good money. They're not even making $100,000 a year from them, which is crazy. Like,
not even $100,000 is actually crazy. I didn't learn that until recently. I'm just like, so. They can, even if there's someone that like you sign under and then you bring them up, like you build them up through like NXT or something, and they're like lower tier or whatever. You would think with how much money that the company brings in and how much you utilize these people on TV for however you utilize them and the way that they put their bodies on the line, not even on live TV, on, live shows, live events, to the public that aren't necessarily televised. These guys are putting their body through blood, sweat, and tears to, make sure that they're giving off an even semi-decent product, and they're not even making $100,000 a year.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
And the downside guarantee for matches is like $200 a match.
Yep,
that's ridiculous. Like MCs make more than that. Underground MCs make more than that performing at some live shows. You could pull in $250 if you get the right.
We can confirm we do. It's not much more, but it's not
right. But you're not getting slammed on. You're not getting slammed on your neck for $200 either.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like that's such a wild thing, and it's the WWE paying that. It's not CZW or something like that. It's some offshoot, off-brand shit. It's wild to me.
Yeah, that's insane.
King, what are your thoughts on how Vince McMahon has been operating in the past year and a half or so?
Well, first of all, I want to say that, like Shah said, man, it's like we didn't just randomly forget all of the things, like all the times you went into that court, like different courtrooms over the years of 40 plus years, whatever the case, however long he's had the business in his hands. We didn't forget all of those things. So that is not necessarily helping his case in terms of the treatment of his employees. Like, he'll do things from time to time that'll like spice things up and make you be like, oh, that's dope. And then, release however many that they released over this past week or whatever. Friggin' feels like 100 friggin' talents were let go. But it's hard. It's hard to invest in certain people when they're not even given the shot. And like we just said, there's so much people that he let go that were just given a bad deal in terms of like how much screen time they were given, like how many times they invested nothing in certain talents for no pay as well. It was kind of, you see a lot of people on social media, like the last week or two, there's tons of talents on social media, like feeling relieved that they were like let go, even in the process of the company getting a new investment in them. And I think it was 1.4 billion was the amount.
Yeah, something like that.
I think it was either 1.2 or 1.4. So that might sound okay in terms of like putting the money in the pockets, but like you said, oh, we'll just fire half your friends though, and we'll just continue to reel in all of the money and reel in all of the deal, all of whatever deal we just got, and leave the people that help bring in the money out to dry. Obviously, the top tier of the company is all still intact, but at the same time, it's just I think it's wicked of them to like have this deal go on and then just like leave so many different talents that they could have been utilizing and that it kind of feels like a waste of time throughout their careers.
I would think like an Emma is a perfect example of that.
Perfect example. Like, people like Emma, I know we talked about Aaliyah a little bit, and even people that were in the company for so long and gave it their all and weren't necessarily like lower tier. Like they had good runs in the company. People like Dolph Ziggler, even people like Shelton Benjamin. Like even though those guys are older, to be fair, they still gave you good memories within the company that people can attach to certain times in their life. And they can still go on top of that, especially Dolph Ziggler. He's always been good in the ring. He never really lost a step ring work wise. Maybe he's obviously gotten a little older, so he's not, as fast, as electric as he used to be, but he can still go better than most of these people. So, and he's had some great run-ins with great, like Hall of Fame level people in your company. He's had feuds with Mysterio and Cena and all these people. So, for someone like that to just get kicked to the dust, it's the tip of the iceberg is what I feel as if it's like just wicked with this going on. And on top of that, like we mentioned in the beginning, with Vince having such a history of like just being a scumbag, like outside of like company confines, is like we didn't necessarily forget that on top of all the wickedness you're doing now. Like it makes it worse actually, because it's like, oh wow, like this guy really has gotten away for mad years with just being a piece of shit.
Right. One of the worst things they do to them too is the non-compete clause, because now these guys are all stuck until the middle of December to try to get a job, and they're all mid-carders, and now they're going to really be forgotten about and buried. On top of it, it's like you're killing all their careers all in one shot.
And like we said, they're not just going to be able to go into other companies. Some of them, I'm not sure how many of them be able to just go into other companies, whether it's AEW or Impact or whatever the case may be. Even if they go overseas and go to indie leagues or whatever, I'm not sure that there's 2 or 3 people that are just going to be able to just go right over and have that name already. They're going to have to go to other companies. They're going to have to prove themselves in said companies. They're going to have to build up reputations that, sure, you were in WWE, but they got buried so much that it's just like, okay, well, what have you done for me lately? And in those companies, like these are obviously the competition companies, if you will, even if it's not from a money standpoint in terms of like the consumership of people that love wrestling. They're going to have to prove themselves, and they don't necessarily have that much time to do so.
Yeah. I'm excited to see Mustafa Ali most. I just want to see him go to AEW and actually get a storyline and let it play out and let him do his thing, because, man, he was on fire until that injury happened. And then it was like Kofi just jumped on that wave, and it was Kofi Mania. But there's another universe out there where that was Mustafa Ali Mania. Like
he was supposed to win it.
Yeah. And then that happens, and then they just kind of forgot about him. And then they put him in that trash retribution thing, like, because Vince, he has a hard-on for, like, it's good to take things from real life, but we didn't need a wrestling Antifa. Like, just even doing that tells me where you stand in life and politically. And honestly, I don't want that crap in my wrestling. Like, I go to wrestling to escape all that, because it's all a joke. Politics is more professional wrestling than professional wrestling is at this point. And it's like, I don't want that in my wrestling at this point. Like, it was cool in the 80s when like Sergeant Slaughter like turned into an Iraqi sympathizer and stuff, but that was a different time. It was cartoon characters at that point. It's different now. And like I just don't feel there's any need for it Like even when they had like the Zeb Coulter thing with the We the People, and that it didn't even like cross that line, but it was like bumping up against it. But they'd never go all the way there, which to me, I'm just like, all right, then what's the point? You know what I mean? If you're not going to go all the way with it, that just makes it even cornier than it is to begin with.
Well,
It's
to
like
that point, though, they have to fill time. That they just shot themselves in the foot making Raw 3 hours years ago. Because
Yeah.
now they're just
I
trying
still,
to
I
pump
still
out
have a hard time getting through it on rent. Like I'm off on most Monday nights, and like nowadays I just freaking at this point I DVR everything because I
Yeah,
can skip
DVR,
through what I
that's-
don't. I can
Yeah,
skip through what I don't like. I can
Right.
skip through the 7 gazillion commercials they have. Raw has an absolute absurd amount of commercial breaks. SmackDown's only a 2-hour show, and it has some commercial breaks too, but it's not like Raw. So it's oh my god, it's brutal. But anyway, go ahead.
That's how they make those billions, man.
Which I get, but
those
I'm like,
commercials
Christ
every 2
almighty,
minutes.
if you're watching live, it's just like the most critical part of like a match or during a promo, it'll just be like a commercial break and it'll be the longest commercials ever. And I'm like, oh my goodness. I remember there was an NXT recently where Seth Rollins went down to go against Braun Breaker, and it was a 4.5-star match. I'm not gonna say 5, but it was a banger for a random Tuesday night on NXT. And it was like this stupid freaking cat commercial or something. And it was the longest commercial ever. Mind you, like an incredible match is going on a split screen. And it's just this little freaking screen in the corner. It was brutal. But
Yeah, they need to step that up in their production department for sure, which they've merged basically with the UFC's production department. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see which company benefits more. I think the UFC is going to benefit a lot more from WWE's knowledge of how to put on an event. You know what I mean? Because look at how WrestleMania is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they've clearly learned from that over the years. You can tell just by the way they now let the fighters talk a lot more. Like you wouldn't have a Conor McGregor without professional wrestling.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? His thing is like, and for me, that's one reason I don't like UFC, because in real life and real competition, I don't like that. In wrestling, I like somebody telling me how good they are. But in real life, I'm like, nah, you need to go out, shut your mouth, and go out there and prove it. So that like turns me off from UFC. So if they get more like WWE, that's even more reason for me not to watch. Because it's just a bunch of dicks that I don't want to like see in my vision ever.
Right. I think that's WWE's impact on sports entertainment as a whole. Like even in professional boxing, which is like my third favorite sport, like you can feel certain levels of this being worked. Like,
oh yeah,
you can see guys after fights, after like so many of these guys leave press conferences where they just attack the hell out of each other, like they're cutting a promo in the WWE afterwards, and you'll just see like you won't see them because they pay for the cameras not to be around for certain situations. But those guys are going back there and they're just like, oh, good shit, man, you really came for my head on it, and they're dapping it up. And then fight night, they're going punch for punch, brutal for 12 rounds, and then afterwards they're best buds. So it's like not saying that didn't always exist in boxing, but I feel as if it's more clear cut and clear as day after like the WWE became so powerful and became so impactful on sports entertainment as a whole. And now, like you said, it's the same in UFC. It's the same thing. Like guys are coming at each other's necks, and then afterwards you can tell they're probably leaving off like, "Oh, dude, that was a good one."
It's all attitude era influence, really. It's
right,
all,
and that's not to say, and that's
through that.
Right, and that's not to say, obviously, it's not real combat, real action in the ring. Of course it is, obviously. Guys put their lives on the line for this. But I think in terms of, like, the theatrics of, like, build-ups to certain events and stuff like that, not even just in UFC and that they've benefited from it, I think sports entertainment as a whole has done it.
Oh, yeah. Morning talk shows on ESPN, like your Stephen A. Smiths and all that stuff. You cannot tell me that guy has not figured it out, like been like, oh, okay. And he's obnoxious sometimes, like, man. So he can be so wrong, but he might be able to convince you that he's right just by how
and certain guys in that field, I feel as if they don't necessarily always believe what they're saying either. They're just like, okay, this is entertainment, this is television. I might not fully disagree with what I want to say, but I not necessarily agree either. So let's get these clicks. Let's get these people talking because I'm talking on here. So let's get them. Let's get the dollars in. You know what I mean?
They understand what sells. Let's move on to our next topic, which is a pretty hot topic in the world of wrestling right now, and it's kind of crossing over from AEW to WWE because they signed Jade Cargill. It's official, from what I'm hearing. It's official, and they brought back
ESPN.
Yep, they brought back Nia Jax, which I think is one of the worst moves they could have ever made. She's going to end up hurting somebody pretty bad, and she's going to end a career, and then they're finally going to release her for good. So, King, we're going to start with you first on this subject. What do you think about Jade? We'll start with Jade first.
I can't tell you how freaking excited I am for Jade Cargill to be in the WWE, dude. Like, first of all, I don't agree with some of the online takes that she should be brought over. Like, obviously, we were just talking about like the release of certain like superstars or whatever, and how they're gonna have to build themselves up in other companies if they want to have a career that actually means something in professional wrestling. Not Jade Cargill. People are like, "Oh, well, she should go down to NXT first, and she should." I'm like,
yeah, no,
forget that. First of all, if Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson are good enough to be starting players on the Braves and on the teams they played on in their other sports, why would they go down to the minors first? They can play now. For what? For what? If Deion was good enough to play for the Braves and start for the Braves right away, then why have him go? Why have him be in the minors?
Just have her learn the WWE way. Teach her that, and I think get the ground running.
Yeah, what she's doing right now.
And I'm glad Trips isn't implying that would be the case. They look like as soon as she's ready to go, and as soon as they have a storyline for her, and as soon as they have something in place for her to get her over as fast as possible in the company, I think he's hitting the ground running on it. I don't think they're gonna waste that much time. But she's as ready as someone that's coming over from another company can possibly be. I think they probably just have to find a proper feud for her to start off with. I think she should definitely be. I'm not gonna say in a top title picture right away, but she should definitely just hit the ground running from the beginning. As soon as they have something in place for her, storyline wise, I definitely think that Jade Cargill is gonna be the next one. Because think about it, the women's division is dry as can be in their company anyway. You have one of your champions who's Io Sky, who, as much as I like Io Sky, I don't necessarily know if she was ready to be like a top champion and carry a division yet.
In the language thing, that's always an issue with.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a language barrier and stuff like that. So having your top or your second champion in the company have the language barrier and not necessarily be over enough to like carry like someone like Rhea Ripley is anyway, that makes it a little difficult. And then obviously Rhea Ripley she's there to stay. She's ready to go. She's obviously I think she's the most appropriate for where she's at in terms of women's championships in the division. I can't necessarily name someone who's probably more like fitting right now. I think she's good where she's at.
If there was one belt, she'd have it.
There was one what?
If there was one belt, she'd have it.
Yeah, if there was one belt, she has to have it, right? And she had to go through Charlotte Flair to get it and other people. Now, there's obviously injuries in the women's division too. Liv Morgan's gone. The booking hasn't necessarily been very good at all for like the better part of years now when it comes to the women's division. They have their top 2 to 3, maybe 4 women that they consistently would like to keep in the picture, and that's fine. But in terms of everybody else in the women's division, it's dry. And I feel like bringing someone like Jade Cargill in with that much star power and getting the ball rolling as fast as possible with that. And she's definitely ready in ring. She's definitely ready on the mic. She definitely has eyes on her already from this company if you watch both companies. So that's going to get the ball rolling as fast as possible. I definitely think she's ready to go. And it'll definitely, spice up a women's division that's very, very dry and stale right now.
Yeah, they have to come out swinging and have her squashing names.
Yeah.
Like, and I think monster heel right off the bat.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
She got
they
great
need to, they need to flip Rhea at some point and make Rhea face again, and that chase will be on, and maybe not this WrestleMania, but the following. That's when you pull the trigger on Rhea and Jade, and
I
that's
could see
funny.
Jade being
That could be main event. What'd you say?
I could see Jade being in a pretty big match at this WrestleMania coming up. They got enough time to get it in.
They do.
I used to see a lot of people saying she wasn't a good wrestler, like the actual wrestling part of it. But I think what a lot of that was her style, to me, was very WWE-ish.
Right.
And in AEW, with the way people move a lot faster and the pacing isn't the same. There's a lot more restful and things like that in WWE, where I think her style is actually going to transition to WWE a lot smoother than a lot of people really think that she will. And like I was saying before, like you give her maybe a month in the performance center learning, tightening up that style with Shawn Michaels. I think she's going to kill it. I would love to see her debut in a big spot out, and I don't know about Rhea, but definitely maybe Io. She just shows up and just takes her out, says I'm here, and then from there,
champion right off the bat.
Yeah, take out the champ. She doesn't have to go for the belt right away necessarily, but have her make a statement by doing that, and then start building up the resume by getting her some wins over some names. Obviously, Natalia's and stuff like that who are solid in the ring, but yeah, man, I see big things for her. She's a star.
Yeah, I don't know that they're ready to send her after Rhea. I don't know. I think they value Rhea too much, and I think they're aware that they're probably like, oh, well, this reign for Rhea has been pretty dry up until about recently. Raquel Rodriguez was okay, and now they have they threw Nia Jax into the picture. They got like this fake injury in the storyline going on where it might be fake. I don't know, but I don't think that I think they value Rhea a little bit too much to just send her right after Rhea right away. At least after the belt, maybe make her presence known. I don't know about taking the belt right away. But you could definitely start her out with, attacking a champ like Io Sky and going after certain names that have, maybe built names in the company already to just make her presence known. Like, listen, I'm here and I'm into the fold now. You're all just going to have to deal with me. Right. I do like the idea of that, obviously, but I don't necessarily know if they'll send her after Rhea's title, at least not off the rip. That's if Rhea even has it past Mania. So
what I would do personally is I'd make her the modern day female Hogan, man, because she can relate to a lot of young girls. You know what I mean? A lot of young girls. And Hogan's first night back in WWF, he won the title. So you go after Io, first match, win the title, become that champion, and just ride it out and see where you can take it. And if it flops, then you give her a little time off, give her a little injury angle time off, let people forget, and then repackage and bring her back because she's a sports entertainer. She really is. So I think what they throw at her, she can handle at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So next female on the agenda is Nia Jax. I know
we did this in the wrong order. We should have done this one first and then happy topic next.
Yeah. And ended on a sad note with Nia. Anyway, Nia, man, like, come on. Why throw money back? I get who she's related to. I get what family she's a part of, yada, yada, yada. But she's not good. She's dangerous. Why throw money at it? It makes no sense. Shaw, tell me about it.
I get they needed a monster, and maybe they weren't sure they were getting Jade Cargill yet when they signed Nia Jax and brought her back. But I feel like that would have been perfect for Jade Cargill to come in as a monster and just mess everybody up. You know what I mean? The same thing they're doing with Nia, basically, except she probably wouldn't hurt as many people. And I hate to dwell in the negative with that because I know she gets a lot of flack for that. And maybe it's overblown a little bit, but there is some truth to it. She's hurt a few people. To be honest with you, to me, her career highlight is her hole.
Yep.
I mean,
that is her move.
You ask me anything, I couldn't think of anything else. She did win the Raw Championship before, I think.
And the real fight with Charlotte in the ring. That's all I
Yeah.
remember.
No, and they're like best friends in real life now. Like they're like
Right.
besties. It makes no, it's like uncomfortable to watch.
That's what happens. We get in a fist fight, then later we become best friends.
Right, exactly.
Which is fine. I respect that aspect of it. Like we're 12 again, but I'm just like, if I'm Charlotte, man, I'm not letting that shit. Now, granted, Charlotte does have like a reputation in locker room of being pretty unprofessional, but same time, it's like, why are we actually having a fist fight on live TV?
And I wonder where she learned that from.
I mean, yeah, without it goes without saying. You know what I mean?
Yep. Ego passes down for sure. But yeah, I mean, King, Naya, talk about it, man. I know you got some.
I mean, it's absurd. I don't get. I get that they wanted to have someone like physically imposing to come in as a heel and just like stomp everybody out. I get that part of it. If this was the worst possible option, like the worst, simply because now you didn't just like bring her in to a random match where there's people that aren't necessarily of value that much in the company. You brought her straight in to attack your top champion in the division. And on top of that, she's deciding to squash other champions. She squashed Chelsea Green, squashed Piper Niven, Shayna Baszler, who, whatever you want to say about her, she's obviously in the women's division. They somewhat respect what she does. Zoe Stark, who, even though she's reigned with Trish Stratus the last couple of months, you know, Trish Stratus has helped her be someone that some people actually find interesting in the company, in the women's division. And you just have this freaking girl just come in and try to destroy everything, and she's gonna hurt so many freaking people. And I'm not sure if it's overblown. I think that sending her after the top champion as well is like not money at all. There's no value in that. I just don't. I get flustered talking about Nia Jax because I'm like, what is the point of this here? What is the point of this here? I get there may not be many options for the purpose of what you're bringing her in for, but of that list of not many, she's still the worst one.
No,
and if this was the case, and if you weren't sure you were getting Jade Cargill yet, just rid of the freaking storyline then. Scrap it and wait until someone like that is official so you can bring them in instead. Now you're bringing in Nia Jax, who's probably one of the most, if not the most dangerous worker in the history of the company because she can't freaking wrestle. She doesn't know how to protect. The number one thing they tell you when you become someone in sports entertainment, in professional wrestling, is the number one rule is to protect your opponents. And it's not just about her not being good at protecting her opponents, and it's more also about she doesn't seem to care that she's not protecting his opponents. That's more so, I think, what I get upset about. Not only are you not good and you can't freaking wrestle and you're hurting everybody, almost everybody you come across, you also don't seem to be care. You're not apologetic about it either. You don't care to do the work to try and become a better wrestler and become a better worker in the ring. And you just don't seem to care.
Getting that
because there's the entitlement of, oh, I'm related to one of the most, if not the most dominant families in the history of professional wrestling, so I can just get away with this stuff. No, you suck. You blow in the freaking ring, and you're gonna end up hurting people that the company actually values. The company's gonna get upset. It's a recycle thing. It's gonna happen again. She's gonna hurt somebody that the company actually sees a lot in and likes, and they're gonna be like, let her go, I guess. Like, this obviously didn't work as we thought it did. But it's like, you guys are going to keep doing this over and over again. You're going to keep bringing in this girl that keeps freaking hurting people and isn't a good worker, isn't a good professional, anything. Doesn't even seem to care that she's not a good worker or professional. And you're just going to keep letting the cycle go. This is like her third chance already.
Yeah. And the thing with her finisher, too, why is she doing that? She's not Yokozuna. Like, you notice when she does it, she has to let go of the top rope when she goes down. And if you notice on any of the big men who ever did moves like that, they always hold the top rope to keep control so that they wouldn't hurt.
Keep control of their weight and make sure they don't hurt people. She doesn't care.
Right.
She doesn't care.
no one is overseeing it. That's the thing. It's like, who is the agent for those matches?
She's just like plopping
someone needs to
herself
tell her,
down.
stop it, stop.
Yeah, you're gonna bust a breast implant, not to sound,
Right. For
coarse,
real.
No, bro, that's real shit, and that's something that can kill people, bro.
Right.
man. That gets in your bloodstream. Like that's dangerous. So
Yeah,
that's
like,
my concern. It's like, give her a different finisher. It's look at what she's done, because the moves she's done to hurt people has only been a couple. It's been like the Samoan drop, and then like her finisher, and that the headbutt or something like that. And her and Charlotte got
the I forget what it's called, like the buckle toss thing too. They toss them into the corner and have the neck hit the buckle. The one that Seth hurt Sting with.
Yeah, the buckle bomb. Yep.
Yeah, the buckle bomb. Yeah, she does that. That's how she hurt Kyrie. So I'm like,
but what move would be safe enough for her to do?
it doesn't matter because she sucks.
A big boot or something, and that's
I'm
it.
gonna say a leg drop like Hogan, maybe. I don't know. Like
That's what
She blows. It doesn't matter what it is. Even a simple leg drop, she's gonna find a way for her thigh to crack somebody's face open.
Exactly. Yeah, she is definitely dangerous.
Doesn't matter. She
is. She is bottom tier of a worker, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Why do you like? They
this
could have
company,
taken anyone.
There's tons of people in the company who suck. There's very few that don't care they suck. Like she doesn't care about anybody's safety. She's just like, all right, well, these people are gonna keep giving me chances, so I'm just not gonna work on being a better worker in the ring.
my hope is in real life she actually does care, because we can't say she doesn't care like with all, but it definitely comes across as
Right. She gives that
That's
impression.
more so what I mean. It's like she's never really addressed anything. She like somebody would get hurt at the hands of her disposal, and she would just move on and continue her work in the company accordingly. Which I get. Part of it is just like, okay, this is professional wrestling. At the end of the day, they're not gonna like come out and give statements that they injured people and that they're sorry about it. Obviously, that would never freaking happen. This isn't every other sport. Like, this isn't football or anything.
yeah. And
but at the same time, the way like entertainment and storylines aside, she just carries herself just like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna keep getting chances either way. So it's not like I'm gonna care about me being a dangerous person.
After her third or fourth injury of her really hurting, so you would figure she would come out and say, I'm gonna try to do better. I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to my coworkers. Yeah, nothing. You get nothing from it. That's why people don't like her. What happened?
I was saying, hopefully she did that behind the scenes at the very least, and which I would assume I would hope that she had at some point. You know what I mean? Because it's like, and like you were saying, it really doesn't seem like she cares all that much. Because you watch interviews with her, it almost doesn't seem like she cares about wrestling in general as much.
Yeah,
like,
and the question has come up. You know what I mean? It's come up. So I also do think, though, there is, I would hope, a few people that they value in terms of the women's division in the company enough. Obviously, her being the way that she is, I think that they probably had a few people that they had a conversation with. Like, listen, what are you, like, we're going to bring Nia back in. There obviously had to have been a few people in the locker room that greenlit it, because there's a ton of people that could say, man, screw this. I'm not dealing with it. I'm not going with this Nia Jax stuff. Forget that. Because we know the history. We know what the things are. But maybe there aren't. Maybe everybody, Vince and Trips were just like, man, forget this. We're just going to bring her in and not care about everybody else that we value in the division. Like, we're just going to bring her in because we say so.
Maybe she makes the best weed brownies, and they were like, "Yo, we got to bring it back. She got the best recipe." You know what I mean?
Which is fine. If that's the case, then I'd support. But I'm not in the company, so I don't get. I
didn't get the taste. So
right.
I don't get to reap those benefits. So
again, they get the best catering, man. They really do. But all right, fellas, we're gonna do our final thoughts. So, Shah, final thought for the week. What's going on?
Hold people to a higher standard. Like everybody and everything. Forget all this nonsense. Like, especially when it comes to stuff like we were talking about earlier, when it comes to morals and things of that nature, like, there's little signs always and cracks in the armor of people that can tell you a lot about how they really are. And in cases like the Vince McMahon thing, I think we have enough evidence to make a safe, assumption, or just come to a determination that what, maybe he's not the best person in the world. And I think we need to start holding people accountable to those type of things and not just brushing things aside so easily, especially these type of things, which is a crap ton of things that we've already discussed and more that we didn't get into. But it just baffles me how people can overlook something because somebody's popular, or they like their music, or they like their acting, or this, that, or the third. I'm all for second chances, but like 32 chances? I don't know about all that. Like, look at Matt Riddle's situation. Like, I was never a huge fan of the guy. I believed in his right to smoke, weed and whatnot. I was like, good for him for, being about that. But the other thing is like, you can't keep doing things like he was doing and expect no blowback from that or no consequences, unless you live in America and you have a certain amount of money. Because if you're rich enough in this country, you can get away with almost anything, and in some cases, anything. And honestly, that sickens me, because it's hard to tell your kids that this is a great place we live, and it is. Don't get me wrong. There's much worse places we could be. We all know that. However, that doesn't make this place perfect, and I think things like that are making it worse here, because you're letting somebody who does that with all this power have more and more power. What do you think they're going to do with that? Ultimate power corrupts ultimately. So, or total power corrupts totally. Whatever the saying is. I just botched that. But the point is, like, we got to stop giving people passes just because they're cool or they did this or that. It's like, nah, you raped a kid. You're a piece of crap. I don't care if you made the best song ever and, or you wrote for Drake or whatever it is. I don't care. If you are Drake, I don't care. He's a bum. But anyway, write your own lyrics. But my point is, we got to start holding people to a higher standard and stop brushing stuff like this under the rug, especially when it comes to a company like this that's so omnipresent, where it's like they're looked at as like the Major League Baseball of professional wrestling, the NBA of it, the NFL, the NHL, but yet they don't get held to that same standard. I don't think for a second that if the commissioner of baseball was to be accused of all these things, that he'd still have a job a week later, never mind years later.
And be paid on top of it.
Yeah, and get paid out. And yes, the guy's a winner. He's done a lot for the industry, but at the same time, it's like, are you a good person? I realize that doesn't matter in business a lot of the time, but I mean, it should matter if you're a piece of crap. And that's what it boils down to for me. People do better and expect better and hold people to a higher standard.
Good final thought. Good final thought.
Absolutely.
King, you're up, brother.
Yeah. My final thought is kind of similar. It kind of ties. It goes hand in hand with what Shaw was just talking about. I think that we just need to begin to value, hold people accountable and start to value moral compass more necessarily so than the field of work where the money is coming in and stuff like that. I know it's hard when there's billions and billions coming into the frame, coming into the picture. But people that are around Vince McMahon have just been this is an example. They've just been yes men throughout their entire careers, because I don't necessarily know if they know their worth. I think people need to work on knowing their worth as well, whether it be half the staff freaking getting cut from the company, whether it be people in the creatives room that are just doing whatever this guy says because they're under his payroll. I think at the end of the day, people should go back to being like, listen, I know that certain things are wrong, and whether it's the company, outside of companies or whatever, I think people should just know their worth and necessarily hold people accountable um, for certain things that they do, because a lot of the stuff is wrong and it shouldn't go that way. But I think what they need to do is be like, you know what? I don't rock with this. I'm going to hold myself accountable for dealing with it and allowing it. And I'm going to hold the person that I feel like is wronging so many people accountable as well. And it might be at the expense of whatever their income would be, but at the same time, in the long run, it's going to feel much better knowing that you knew your worth and you knew your value and you held other people accountable and you didn't let anybody just step over your toes because they cut you a check. So I think this is a perfect example of it. For example, the people the company released, they're probably they probably were afraid to ever speak up. Like, listen, what's the hold up on actually utilizing what I feel is my talent? And they just brushed it off because they were just like, you know what, this is all I have right now. I think more people should have just said fuck that. And I think, like, for example, the creative room and the people in the company as well. Anytime Vince would get in trouble, whether it was like legal issues or whatever like that, they probably should just be like, I'm not, this guy's going to cut me a check, so I have to just let him go. No, forget that. You can do the same thing you're doing, whether somewhere else or you can do it differently. Just make sure that you know your worth and that you're holding the people accountable, and don't sacrifice your morals for the check. That's all my thing is.
Good thoughts. Good thoughts. My final thought actually kind of coincides with both of y'all. I think it's a theme of accountability, and mine is accountability through unionization. I think that professional wrestling as a whole needs a union. They need healthcare. They need all the basic necessities and luxuries and perks that we all get when we work for companies that are making big bucks. Like me personally, I work for $1 billion company. They're one of the top companies that do what they do. We're not union, but still we're offered healthcare, 401k, all these other things. So even if they don't have a union, offer your employees, which what they are as employees, some benefits, because people have died in the ring for you. People have fell from the rafters for you, and you've given zero fucks about it. So if anybody from WWE ever sees this at all, do the right thing. So that's my final thought for the night. And guys, thank you again for joining me. Culture Corner Wrestling, episode 3, another one in the books. So it's a pleasure as always to talk to you guys, because we all have our opinions, and I value yours, and I'm sure a lot of people do. And so, yeah, Culture Corner Wrestling, man, we out. Have a good night.
Peace, y'all.
He's going for the gorilla press. He got it, did it. Oh, believe it. It's over.
My life story like Black Rob drinking OE. That brolic shit broken down like Matt Hardy. See through these eyes and people my mind see. It's fucked up, ain't it? No need to remind me, but let me get to it. The stupid shit I was doing left other men dead of their lives is just ruined. From ODs to stick-ups going wrong, I stay strong.